Okay, I think I'm ready for another one. Let's do this. I'll preface this by saying this episode is by far way better than the first one was. For one thing, there's no Klein. He is completely absent from this episode, and we don't have to hear that insufferable cunt screeching like a dental drill around every corner. The next thing it has going for it is there's some actual action going on. Now it's anime action, which means as soon as the action starts, the B team of animators gets involved, and there's a lot of times where everything just freezes in place because they didn't feel like drawing anymore that day. But it's still action, I guess. Now, there's still a lot of dumb stuff in this episode, but at least I wasn't falling asleep watching this shit this time. The episode opens and we're told that a month has passed since the last episode. So I guess we're not going to talk about how these players all haven't starved or died of thirst in real life. So I'll just go ahead and suspend a little bit more disbelief and assume all their families got them hooked up to IVs in time or whatever. 2,000 players have died already so far, and so far nobody has completed the first floor yet. Not even Kirito, a beta tester. In the last episode he claimed to have gotten to like floor 8 or whatever. Now he just sucks. Why are all of these players so bad? This is really blowing up in Kaya Baba's face, since he made 100 floors in this video game, and so far everybody's dying in the first one. I hope prison's worth it. So the players are finally holding a meeting after all these weeks to figure out how to find the boss. I still want to know how Kirito couldn't find the boss if he beta tested the game. So anyway, the meeting organizer introduces himself.
My name is Diabel.
Is that really his name? That sounds like the name for a satanic cow.
And in this game, the job I rolled is Knight.
Immediately the crowd clowns on him because this game doesn't have a job system. I can't tell if the show wanted me to think he was joking and the crowd are just humorless twats, or if this guy is supposed to be a clueless idiot and this is just something that makes the animes laugh. So Diabella goes on to announce that his party found the boss room. Maybe if Kirito would have actually formed a group with Klein and his buddies a month ago, they could have found the boss room. So far this episode is showing me what a stupid idiot Kirito is, without even having Kirito doing anything. Kirito panics when he sees everybody partying up with their friends, because he realizes what a weirdo loner he's been acting like all month and he doesn't have any friends yet. He still doesn't reach out to Klein, and well, I can't really say I blame him. Kirito looks over and sees this weirdo in a full hooded robe sitting in the corner. I thought maybe she was naked underneath the robe because she's just kind of a freak like that, but spoiler alert, she's not. We see later that she's wearing clothes, so I'm just gonna assume she wants to look mysterious because anime. Kirito offers to form a party with the mystery girl, and we learn that her name is Asuna. When I say we learn, what I mean is the cartoon zooms all the way into the game interface and we see her name in gigantic letters. They could have just had Kirito introduce himself like a normal person and ask the girl her name, but there was a reason why they didn't do this. And the reason is dumb. But we'll get into that later. Suddenly, a random asshole leaps through the air and lands in the middle of the plaza and goes off on an unmedicated rant about the beta testers. Because every anime has to have a pissy asshole with a constant chip on his shoulder, I have a terrible feeling we'll be seeing a lot more of this guy. So he wants the beta testers to apologize for the 2,000 players who already died and hand over their shit. Pissy asshole thinks the beta testers have been hoarding information from the community and keeping all the good hunting spots to themselves. And if Kirito's behavior is any indicator, I gotta say he has a point. Kirito starts shaking in his seat, hopefully because he feels guilty, when suddenly another guy stands up and proceeds to embarrass Pissy in front of several witnesses. He points out how the beta testers were handing out guidebooks to new players, and this shuts Pissy right the hell up. So I can't speak for the other beta testers, but when it comes to Kirito in particular, Pissy asshole is absolutely right on the money. Kirito refers to himself as a solo player, which means he took all of that information about the game he had, and after leaving Klein, right off and looked after himself. Not that it even mattered, since Kirito still couldn't clear the first floor. So after the airing of grievances is done, Diabella pulls his guidebook out and proceeds to tell everybody how all the information they needed on the boss was in the guidebook all along. 2,000 people dead because no one read the fucking manual. So I'm assuming this means that Diabella's party didn't find the boss room all along. They just looked in the guidebook. If these players don't stop sucking, neither will the cartoon. Later on, Asuna's sitting by herself, eating a roll. Kirito sits next to her and she scoots away like a fucking weirdo. He offers her some of his cream, and I know what you're thinking. And it wasn't really cream he was giving her, it was butter. I'm not sure why this show is acting like nobody knows what butter is, but I promise you that in 2022, Japanese people have probably heard of bread and butter before. So Asuna devours her buttered roll like the disgusting pig that she is. Then she tells Kirito about how she came to this town so she wouldn't lose sight of herself, and the music swells up like we're hearing some touching backstory or something.
I don't want to lock myself in a room in the town of beginnings and slowly rot away. I'd rather stay the way I am till the last moment.
Okay, I mean, I guess that's cool. Except technically everybody playing the game right now is going through that. So it didn't really matter to me that some twat in a hood decided to get her shit together. This scene would be more impactful if we knew who the hell this character was and had at least 1 or 2 episodes to get to know her, so we could see her grow from a coward into a hero. But this scene alone means nothing to me. The next day, Kirito and Asuna are walking with the rest of the raid group to the boss's lair. I guess it really didn't matter that they didn't have any friends since they got to join the raid anyway. Kirito asks Asuna if she's ever been in a party before and gets kind of exasperated when she says no. I don't get what this guy's f***ing problem is. He asked her from the very beginning if she was a solo player, so he would already have known she wouldn't normally join parties. It's already been established in the last month that nobody knows what the hell they're doing, including the beta testers. So give the chick a break. You're not doing so hot yourself, buddy. So they find the boss of this stupid place and they fight him. Diabella barks out orders that sound vaguely like something you'd hear in an MMORPG, and Kirito remarks on how good Asuna is at fighting. Even though Asuna is actively fighting monsters, her hood manages to stay up, probably so they can make it fall off dramatically at the end and reveal her gigantic eyes and whatever wacky hairstyle they chose for her. So the boss changes weapons and it's not the weapon that they read about in the guidebook. Kirito remarks how it changed from the beta test. Then why the fuck was it in the guidebook? Because I refuse to fill in the blanks for this show, I'm going to assume that the writers completely forgot about the guidebook. Diabella goes in for the kill and gets struck down. Kirito runs after him and tries to heal him with the potion, but for some reason that eludes me, Diabella stops him. This is f***ing stupid. It's a video game and he's acting like he has a mortal wound. If your HP is above 0, you're still functional. Stop acting like you're giving your life for a greater cause and take the goddamn potion. Kirito is surprised to find out Diabella was a beta tester and realizes Diabella wanted to get in the last attack bonus so he could get an item for himself. So he wasn't even doing anything noble sacrificing himself. He was just risking his own life to score some loot. So then Diabella dies and Kirito has another internal monologue. This time it's in the second person directed at Diabella, about how Diabella never stopped looking out for other players, and the way he's talking about him, you'd think Kirito knew this guy for years. It's just way too much for a character that we had maybe 2 scenes with. This is not how you evoke emotion out of people. You can't just flash on-the-nose sentimental moments in front of me with characters I've barely even met and expect me to give a shit. Kirito and Asuna go after the boss. They run with their arms flopping limply at their sides, like that Naruto character from the cartoon Naruto. Asuna goes in for the kill and the animation slows down as her hood falls off dramatically, and they really want me to care that I can see her hair and eyes now, so they play magical sparkle noises when they show her hair. After the fight is done, Kirito wins a cloak of something or other, and Pissy Asshole once again starts screaming about beta testers. Kirito decides to cash in his brooding persona in exchange for the cocky guy persona, and tells everybody he rules and they suck, and that he's better than every beta tester out there, even though he is still stuck on the same floor as all of them.
During the beta, I made it to floors that were higher than any of the other testers. That's a fact.
Okay, well what floor are you on now, asshole? Pissy calls him a beater, a combination of cheater and beta tester, and I guess that's catchy. Cocky guy Kirito says he likes that name, puts on his new cloak of angst, and walks away slowly like there's an explosion behind him. Now would have been a great time to step up and tell everybody that they can follow him if they want to live, but instead he does jack shit and is just a total prick about it. After that entire exchange, Asuna runs after Kirito just to ask about how he knew her name. I guess she just tuned out his maniacal rant because she was just thinking about herself the entire time. Kirito demonstrates his superior beater knowledge by mansplaining an HP gauge to her. This makes no sense because just a moment ago in the battle, Asuna was looking directly at Kirito's HP gauge, so she would have known you can see a player's name by looking at their HP gauge. Even if she didn't, this seems like a really obvious thing, and there is really no reason for this interaction. So Asuna, who was previously really awkward and shy, giggles uncharacteristically like a schoolgirl at her lapse in knowledge. So I guess now that her hood is down, she's a different character. Kirito tells Asuna to join a guild because there's only so much solo player can do. And she asks, "What about you?" And Kirito walks away because he's f***ing too cool. Wasn't Kirito just going on about how Diabella never stopped looking after players? So he's inspired by a guy who lost his life looking after people, but goes right back to being in it for himself. So I gotta say, this episode wasted a lot of time. I'm glad there was action, but we had to wade through so much shit to get there. We sat through an entire meeting in the plaza, including an outburst from an angry person that ultimately went nowhere. There was no point wasting screen time to have pissy assholes scream about beta testers twice in one episode. The bread and butter scene contributed nothing. We didn't learn anything about Asuna that we couldn't have learned along the way. But by far the biggest waste of time was Diabella. He was a minor character whose purpose was just to lead the raid into a boss battle, and they set him up in the end to be this martyr. We had one scene with him reading out of a book, and then they give him a lengthy death scene followed by Kirito giving him an eternal send-off in the middle of a boss battle. But this episode was a marginal improvement over the last one. If I gave the last one an F, I'd give this one an F+. So that's all for now, I guess. Let me know what you thought about this episode in the comments. Give me a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and I'll keep putting out more. Bye.
The job I rolled is night.